8:19:51 p.m.
Outbound message to Julie. Good night to this person ever.
8:20:16 p.m.
Inbound message from Julie. Good night.
8:20:52 p.m.
Outbound message to Julie. I miss you so much. I can't wait for this one.
8:21:42 p.m.
Inbound message from Julie. I'm sorry.
Looks at me. I know, right? So that's at 8:21:42 p.m. I know, right? At 8:22:16 p.m. Listen.
Outbound to Julie. Much of our movies.
8:23:35 p.m.
Inbound message from Julie.
8:23:35 p.m.
Inbound message from Julie. Good night. Love you.
8:30 p.m.
Outbound message from Julie. Sweet dreams.
8:30:07 p.m.
Outbound call to birth giver. Duration 31 seconds.
8:30:50 p.m.
Inbound message from Julie. Thanks.
8:57:05 p.m.
Back to Facebook. Register.
8:57:30 p.m.
Log in and authentication for Creato.com. Julie Sensky's Facebook.
This is logging back into Julie Sensky's Facebook account this time.
Yes.
8:57:41 p.m.
Login script for Facebook.
8:57:41 p.m.
Again, it's we're back to the Facebook homepage.
8:57:58 p.m.
And Facebook login.
8:57:58 p.m.
Just the web artifact for the homepage for
8:58:50 p.m.
Outbound message to Julie and view.
9:02:55 p.m.
Outbound message to Julie and amazing.
9:21:26 p.m.
Outbound message to Julie. You have pretty eyes and an amazing smile, pretty hair, and a cute smile face.
9:22:33 p.m.
History, artifact, Facebook.com with the login.
9:22:33 p.m.
Again, Facebook, artifact, and web history.
9:22:34, same thing. 9:22:36.
Facebook, web history, artifact, and it's a messages.
9:22:44 p.m.
Facebook, web artifact with Facebook notifications.
9:22:51 p.m.
Facebook artifact, again, with history.
And 9:22:55 p.m.
Login. Facebook.
9:22:55 p.m.
Back to welcome Facebook on page.
9:47:40 p.m.
It's a outbound message to Julie, and you're also super sexy.
9:54:37 p.m.
Outbound call to Julie, duration 41 seconds.
9:55:21 p.m.
Outbound call, duration 41 seconds.
9:56:38 p.m.
We have a message or a chat from Sparks 920 to Julie.Sensky. It is a message from the defendant to Julie Sensky's Snapchat.
Now this log at 9:15 6:38 p.m. on the defendant's phone. Correct?
This is on the defense.
And when he testified previously at 10:02, the defendant logs into Julie Stensky's account for about to see. What happens with Julie Stensky's account information in relation to the history of the phone, per your understanding, for forensic analysis?
So what will happen next is right now we have Sparks 920 as the user account that's currently logged into Snapchat. And at some point what we'll see is the authentication for Julie Stensky and the creation of the various pages that we're supposed to know.
Okay. So the login from Julie Stensky's Snapchat account that happened at right around the time of 10:02 p.m. or 10:01 p.m. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And what do we see here on October 12th, 2015 at 10:02:03 p.m.?
So here we have we from the previous testimony we saw that there was a login to Snapchat authenticating for Joe Stensky. 10:02:03, Snapchat messages from the Giovanni Borgia to Joe Stensky.
Is there a specific message attached, or is this a conversation that's viewed? There's no content to the message.
There's no content inside the message. It's just the artifact that we have is what we have on that content.
And that's immediately after login at 10:02:03 p.m. into Julie Stensky's Snapchat account?
Yes.
What do we have at 10:05:07 p.m.?
After authentication and login, a message comes in, hey, we've made improvements to chat. Pressing hold on a chat to save it. Tap the thumb now to view it full screen. So it's from Team Snapchat to Julie Stensky.
What happens at 10:07:52 p.m.?
Call log, call outbound to Julie, duration 39 seconds.
At 10:12:28 p.m., what do we see on the defendant's phone?
Again, it's Snapchat, and the artifacts were identified in Safari, so as a URL for the web history, and it's showing that the story from Cosmo 50 Party.
So this is a Snapchat story from Cosmo 50 Party?
Yes.
And this is how it presents in the timeline?
Yes.
And this hits the phone at 10:12:28 p.m.?
Yes.
10:12:28 p.m. we have an additional story from Cosmo 50 Party?
Yes.
And again at 10:12:50 p.m.?
Yes. Another story from Cosmo 50 Party.
10:12:50 p.m.?
Same.
10:12:50 p.m.?
Same.
And these are snap stories. Okay. 10:12:50 p.m.?
Same.
10:12:50 p.m.
Same.
At 10:18:49 p.m.
Again, another snap story reference to Cosmo
10:18:50 p.m.
Same.
10:18:53 p.m.
Again, from Cosmo 50 Party.
Snap story.
Snap story.
And in your opinion, what does a person have to be doing in order for these snap stories to be hitting the timeline at this time?
For the snap stories being in a timeline, the application has to be open, and has to be authenticated, the account has to be authenticated, and it has to be to
So it can't be just open and running in the background? 10:23:55 p.m. What do we have?
It's another snap story from N1C Light.
10:32:33 p.m.
Another snap story from Cosmo
10:39:25 p.m. 10:40:19 p.m.
Another snap story.
10:40:56 p.m.
Another addition to that. Snap story.
10:41:11 p.m.
Same.
10:41:13 p.m. 10:41:35 p.m.
It's a snap story and privacy right form.
10:50:25 p.m.
Another snap story from privacy right form.
10:50:56 p.m.
Another story from
10:52:38 p.m.
snap story and privacy right form.
10:54:50 p.m.
Snap story and privacy right form.
10:55:21 p.m.
Snap story again possible 50 party.
10:57:03 p.m.
Snap story and privacy right form.
11:23:51 p.m.
Another snap story possible 50 party.
11:23:55 p.m.
Snap story possible
11:24 p.m.
snap story possible
11:25:24 p.m.
another snap.
11:26:17 p.m.
Same.
11:28:58 p.m. 11:32:17 p.m. 11:45:18 p.m. 12:04:06 a.m. 12:04:32 a.m. 12:04:45 a.m. 12:28:32 a.m.
Again, snap story.
12:28:56 a.m.
Another snap story.
12:40:31 a.m.
Snap story. NYC right one.
12:41:18 a.m.
Snap story. NYC right
12:51 a.m.
Same.
12:51:13 a.m.
Same.
12:51:27 a.m.
Same.
1:08:06 a.m.
It's a snap story possible 50.
1:11:56 a.m.
Same possible 50.
and 1:27:11 a.m.
Another snap story again possible 50.
Now we're at 6:02:19 a.m.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up. You're looking towards the screen, and so the jurors can hear you. It's important you keep your voice up, all right?
Yes.
We're on October 13th, 2015. These are the morning hours. What's the first event on the timeline after the last event at 1:27:11 a.m.?
We have an outbound call to birth giver, duration of 6 seconds.
6:03:35 a.m.
Outbound call to Sam, duration of 45 seconds.
6:06:51 a.m.
Outbound call to 911, duration 3 minutes, 20 seconds.
6:40:03 a.m.
Snapchat, classified as instant message software from more than Navy 13.
Is this still signed into Julie Stensky's Snapchat account?
Yes.
6:55:20 a.m.
Inbound call from birth giver, duration of seconds.
6:55:43 a.m.
Outbound call to Sam, duration 1 second.
6:55:46 a.m.
Inbound call from Sam, duration 15 seconds.
7:08:59 a.m.
Outbound message.
That's
from
what you're saying.
Julie
That's up until 7 a.m.
box at 6 a.m. on the Creato.
7:45:28 a.m.
If that was the portion you wish to hear from the testimony. Now, we're going to play some cross-examination that goes with that. And it starts at I believe so. 12:59, at 2:59.
Put on that phone, you wouldn't know until you would. The two slides, the two slide shows, I guess, the presentations that Mr. Blair went over with. Did you prepare those? Did the prosecutor prepare those? Did you work in conjunction to prepare them?
The very first presentation was something that I prepared. The second presentation was something that I assisted someone in Cornerstone to prepare.
Okay, Cornerstone, your company.
Yes.
Okay. And you then sent that to the prosecutor and said, this is the information that I think is helpful.
Yes.
For the prosecution of the case. And if I understood at the end there, Mr. Moran asked you on that second 300 slideshow that information from whatever time on October 12th to the morning of October 13th, that wasn't all of the activity on the phone, right?
Correct.
It was select text messages, telephone calls, Snapchats, Facebook web history, stuff like that that you picked that you thought would be helpful.
Correct. Probably the most relevant information.
So it's fair to say then, if in the middle of the night there was a Facebook login, you would have included that.
Correct.
Or a web search in the middle of the night, you would have included that, right?
Yes.
And there is nothing like that, right?
No.
So from, we'll say, after 10 o'clock or so, 10:10, to 6 o'clock in the morning, the activity as you see it are these snaps, the Snapchat stories that they just testified about, right?
Correct.
Okay, I want to get back to those. But first, the Facebook logons that you went through, there were 5 of them or 4 of them, does that sound right?
Yeah, some were logging from scratch, some were re-authentication with a cached username, password, that sort of thing.
When you say re-authentication, the person's logged in, isn't looking at that web page, and then goes back to it?
It could go back to the home page, and then you would select something. It's not authenticated, but it authenticates because the credentials are cached or saved.
Already in the phone?
Correct.
Okay. There was one at 6:03, from 6:03 to 6:04 at night, right?
Yes.
One at 7:32, and that was under a minute, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
One at 8:57, that one was under a minute, right? From log in to log out.
I believe so. I have to check the Facebook records to be sure, but that's my
And the
recollection.
last one was 9:22. My point, Mr. Quano, is all of these logins are less than 2 minutes, minute and a half, maybe under a minute.
they were fairly short in terms of, if you take when a login happens and a subsequent logout happens, I don't recall them being, hours and hours of activity.
Well, it's more than that. It's not just that it's not hours and hours of activity. It's not even minutes of activity, right? The times that were on that slide presentation were accurate, right?
Correct. So it's more consistent with someone checking for something new, a notification, seeing the number of messages that are over. So if there's no messages, there will be no reason to stay on. So it's more consistent with checking for some type of update or something like that. A new message, a new post.
You had the opportunity to go through all of the text messages on the phone, right?
Yes.
Okay. And some 2,500 or so were read earlier in this case by two assistant prosecutors, and then you read quite a few today. Those aren't all of the texts on the phone, right?
That's correct.
And those also aren't all of the texts between Mr. Creato and Ms. Stensky, right?
Correct.
There are a number of instances where
That's, I think, where we agree. The rest of that. Yes, sir. What time do we have just now?
3 minutes and 18 seconds. You're not.
So we have to go
Okay, so you want to go back to the last
I want to go back and play for 309. That's where we stopped.
From where we just were.
Easier in the old days when you had to work before.
roundabout time.
Can you go back so we can handle the last question where he said that's, he was discussing the number of Facebook, or number of...
those would count as separate text messages, though, for when you're counting how many texts there are, right?
Yes, it would actually.
And sometimes we see that two text messages come through.
According to my notes, it's about a minute before that. Because it back to the end of the Facebook part?
You want to go back a minute?
Yes, please.
2 minutes, go back 2 minutes. That will be short.
Earlier in this case, by two assistant prosecutors, and you read quite a few today. Those aren't all of the texts on the phone, right?
That's correct.
And those also aren't all of the texts between Mr. Creato and Ms. Stensky, right?
Correct.
There are a number of instances where it appears a later part of the message comes before the earlier part of the message. You said that's because of a character limit on SMS?
Yeah, so SMS, when it's actually sent, if you're using SMS protocol, if it doesn't get converted to an MMS, a multimedia message service, it's typically where you would attach a picture or something like that. If it's strictly SMS, and I find this happening often with, particularly with iPhones, not so much with Androids, it will break them up into pieces and I guess do as good a job as it can in sending them out sequentially so they hit the phone at the proper time so everything flows. Yeah.
Those would count as separate text messages, though, for when you're counting how many texts there are, right?
Yes, it would actually. Yeah.
And sometimes we see that two text messages come through seemingly identical at or around the same time. What causes that, sir?
It's from a technical standpoint, I can't say how the server handles it. I can only say what I found on the phone, and there were two separate entries for the same text message. So could it happen at the server from the service provider? Possibly, not getting a return saying I received what you just sent me, and it sends out a subsequent message. It would really be a guess why there would be a duplicate.
But it's fair to say in the 1,000 or so phones you forensically examined, this isn't the first time you've seen this.
Correct.
It's pretty common.
Yes.
Okay. And again, those would count as separate text messages when you're saying how many text messages a person sent or received. Right?
Yes.
So, with the iPhone 6, there are apps that a person can download, right?
Yes.
And do you know how many apps this particular iPhone had, Mr. Creato's iPhone had?
Some are stock that come with the phone, and some are added from the Apple Store.
If I told you it was 98 or so applications, does that sound about right?
I was thinking, high 70s, somewhere around there is my recollection. Yeah.
And that's not uncommon either for a person who uses an iPhone?
No.
Okay. You said some of these applications are stock, which means they come with the phone, you can't get rid of them, right?
Yes.
And then some, like Facebook or Snapchat or Skype, are applications you can download if it's something that you want to use, right?
Yes.
All of these applications are really just ways to access the internet from a mobile phone, just in an interface that's the application, right?
That's exactly it.
But you're still going on the internet when you do it.
Correct.
Okay. And for many applications, if a person has opened the application and doesn't log out and presses their home screen and goes back to that main iPhone page, that application can still run in the background, right?
It can.
Okay. And that is true of the mail application, right?
Yes.
The Maps application, right?
Yes.
And that's also true of the Snapchat application, right?
Yes.
Okay. And for a lot of these applications, I'm correct in understanding that they have what are called notification, which means if there is something new on the server, it'll be pushed to the phone, right?
Yes.
So even if I don't actively check my email, I can get an email on my phone.
Correct.
Even if I don't actively check my Facebook, I can get a Facebook message, and a little red number 1 will pop up next to it, and I can say, I have a Facebook message, right?
Yes.
And that's also true of Snapchat, right?
True, with the exception of stories.
Okay. But instant messages on Snapchat would push to the phone.
Yes.
As long as that person's logged in and the phone is on and connected to the internet, whether it's 4G, 3G, or on a Wi-Fi, right?
Correct.
Okay. Does that mean that these applications, and particularly Snapchat, automatically refresh themselves as long as the phone's connected?
At intervals, whether it's set depending on how everything's configured, you can either be based on time or on the server side, if there's a notification or if new information arrives, it'll send that notification to the phone, so the user can be put on notice that something new has arrived or something has changed.
Okay. And that will be downloaded to the phone without the user actually doing it?
In some cases it's a notification. You still have to go and pull it down for that to happen.
Okay, but like a text message or an instant message, that would just pop up on the phone without the user doing anything, right?
Text messages, yes, and most instant messages, yeah.
Okay. The email that you said you associated with Julie Stensky's Facebook and Snapchat account, where was it that you got that email? Did you get that email from Facebook, or did you get the email from the prosecution?
So it came in Facebook. There was also, I remembered reading a text where Mr. Creato asked what Duomo.
Right, now we've heard the cornerstone testimony as well as the responding examination. Now we're going to play the testimony regarding surveillance cameras and where they were located. Get it?
What was that one?
That's the one from the email, I believe, that Michelle sent. Yes. Right. Yeah, that's a good play.
You want to do this one right now?
You do that one, and for the next one, we'll do a cross-examination. There's three portions. They're relatively, first two are all relatively short. The first two are part of direct examination, and third is part of cross-examination of the issue is raised.
And that would be about 10 weeks into the relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Was that also right around the time, that's your understanding, when Ms. Stensky left for college?
Yes.
So based on what you saw online, did you want to speak with Ms. Stensky again?
Yes, definitely.
And did you schedule an appointment to have her return to Haddon Township?
Yes, I did.
How did you get in touch with her?
I contacted her.
On her telephone?
Yes.
And did she agree to come back and give a statement?
Initially, she did.
And did you once again make arrangements to assist her with transportation?
Yes, I did.
Judge, I know it's right after this.
Okay, let's play it then.
Just bring my notes was. I don't know if my times are different because I had it on discs.
Well, I think you also indicated that one of the other things that you wanted to take care of that day was to start canvassing in the neighborhood for video surveillance, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And which locations did you go to initially?
We went to 25 Cooper, 127 Vesper, and we canvassed the surrounding neighborhoods.
Okay. With regard to 25 Cooper, where was that located in relationship to the defendant's apartment building?
Approximately half a block away.
And they had a functioning video system?
They did.
And did they agree to allow surveillance footage to be downloaded?
Yes.
Was there anything of any evidential value on there?
No.
Now, where is 127 Vesper located?
It backs up to the rear of where Brendan was found. It's right, it backs up right to the woods, edge of the woods.
Okay. Is it the home that's closest to where Brendan's body was found?
Yes.
And did they also have a video surveillance system?
Yes, they did.
And did they permit you to view it?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you see on the video system?
There were several camera angles. One in the back actually had covered the rear of the yard. However, it didn't extend past the fence line.
Was there anything of evidential value for you on that footage?
No.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to look ahead to further that day around.
Now I'm going to go to 214.
Cell phones.
Yes, Lisa Creato, David Creato Sr., and Sarah Creato.
Also on this date, did you attempt or were you able to collect any additional video surveillance?
Yes, we collected additional surveillance from 25 Cooper Street.
The same house as before?
Yes.
Did you broaden the area that was being, or broaden the time frame that was being looked at?
Yes.
And was there anything of any evidential value even when you broadened the time frame?
No, there was nothing of evidential value.
Okay, while we're discussing video surveillance, I want to try to summarize that with you.
Sure.
Where were you concentrating those initial efforts to find video surveillance?
We are concentrating our efforts on Cooper Street, where the defendant lived. So
Okay.
that was our primary focus.
And other than that house that was located at 25, were there any other functioning video surveillance systems on Cooper Street?
No, there was not.
Did you have any more success with the business area on Haddon Avenue where Cooper Street ends at the opposite end of the park?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to review a number of surveillance videos that were stored by various businesses up there?
Yes, ma'am.
And which businesses did you get video from?
From Sicko Gas, Cook Liquor, Severino's, Pasta Italian Restaurant, Ace Hardware, and the Westmont Speed Line.
And of those businesses, which ones were the closest to Cooper Street?
It would be Sicko Gas and I believe, I'm sorry, we also Keg and Kitchen as well. Keg and Kitchen was close to Cooper Street.
And on all that video surveillance that you reviewed, was there anything of any evidential value that showed the other end of Cooper Street with anything going on that night?
No, just regular activity.
Are you aware that there is a church directly across the street, almost directly across the street from the defendant's parents' home?
Yes.
Were they asked to provide any video surveillance that they might have?
Yes, it wasn't functioning.
Based on all this, and from all the video that you've collected, you have this information. Yes, you don't know that. All right. Detective, we don't have this uploaded on the big screen. I'll show it to you.
Yes.
This is State's Exhibit number 174. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that a map that you created?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it show where the defendant's apartment was located?
Yes, it does.
And how did you note that on the map?
I put DC.
Okay, those are his initials, correct?
Yes, Creato.
And does it also note where Samantha Donato's home is
Yes.
located?
With an S.
Okay. And then there are a number of V's that you wrote in on there. What do those V's indicate?
That indicates video.
Okay, and those are all the locations you collected video from?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I know there's only two places that appear to be residences. What were those two addresses?
25 Cooper Street and 127 Vesper Avenue.
And does that map that you created fairly and accurately show all the relevant locations with regard to video surveillance?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you remove that into evidence?
Okay.
No objection, leave it in evidence.
Okay, Detective, I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to Saturday, October the 7th.
I think that's it. Now you get the one last one.
Right, I have to go on 2 different days, that's my thing.
Surveillance videos that you reviewed. I think you had a map of where they were.
Yes, sir.
About how many individual cameras was it that you and your office reviewed?
The sites where we located them, sir?
Sites or individual cameras, because I realize that the site may have more than one camera, but some may be pointing inside, you're not looking.
Probably, I would say over a dozen.
Okay. A dozen cameras, you watched about 24 hours of footage on each of those cameras?
Yes, sir. We split up the time that we needed to look at the cameras.
And in all of that time, you never seen DJ walk in with a bag or a stroller or a duffel bag or a boy under his arm or anything like that, right?
No, sir.
There's no witness.
That was right. Members of the jury, we've heard the testimony you requested as to both of these issues and the cross-examination with it. With that, let me ask you to turn to the deliberation and continue.
Please rise.
please be seated. We will stand in recess until we hear back from the jury. And have to ask the court to be cleared so we can bring in my regular Monday list.
Folks, if you don't mind, we have to clear a courtroom for a couple minutes to set some stuff up. We'll come and get you as soon as the doors open back up. Thank you.
We're back on record. I did receive from the jury a note into Marcus 10. It reads, evidence to watch and hear. Police interview from notification of Brendan staff to complete end of interview. Digital timeline from Cornerstone that we heard this morning, but centered around 8:50 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Detective Rhodes' testimony about when picture of bird Cooper River was taken on defendant's phone. Now, counsel, with reference to these questions, the first is relatively simple. The second, Mr. Sheena, if they just want to see that brief period, do you want to have any cross-play again? We can just play what they want. And the third, if we can pull up Detective Rhodes' testimony, I mean...
But I think it's in Mr. Sanquanto's testimony. It's right in the very beginning of the timeline, as I recall, although Mr. Moran might recall better.
Well, if you can check the records, find out when, because that's simply, you know, testified as to...
Okay. I have a copy of Detective Rhodes' testimony on disc, but we do not have a copy of Mr. Sanquanto.
We can play it back.
Okay.
It would be, it's one of the first things after his qualifications.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll check my notes.
Yeah, you know, I'm sorry, Judge, I misspoke. It's not part of the timeline. It's part of that first PowerPoint. It was the first slides in the PowerPoint that he gave me, right?
Yeah, because he testified that with the one picture that was
Correct.
provided to him.
Respectfully, Your Honor, Detective Rhodes did also testify about that, though. So if the court is inclined not to play Detective Rhodes' testimony, I think at the very least it should ask for some clarification.
Well, Detective Rhodes testified. I think he did testify.
I think he did testify about the photo as well.
Yeah, so why don't we check his testimony, and if he testified as to the timeline, I think that answers the question. If you can check before we bring him back. When we bring him back, we'll see.
Okay, I'm sorry, Judge, I just looked at that. I didn't see it specified him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my recollection that there was direct and cross and redirect on that.
Counsel, again, because of timing issues and getting everything set up, it's now 10 after 12. I'm going to bring the jury in, break them early for lunch. Tell them we'll break now. We'll pick up at 12:15 or 1:15, and at 1:15 we'll probably be in a position to play these items back for them. All right? You want to put the chairs back for the alternates because this is not. We're not playing any back now.
You want them just bring it in then?
Yeah.
Ward, the alternates are going to go into the alternate chairs.
Right. Because when we start the things, it takes too long. That way we can probably start at 4. Well, yeah. If Mr. Moran could give you the time frame regarding the testimony of Cornerstone, we went over it this morning and just find out exactly that period. He'll give you those numbers. And with reference to Detective Rhodes, if you could check your notes, counsel, so we can identify the way the clerk and how to lead up.
Please rise.
Please be seated. Back members of the board, I received from your court person a note, it's actually a three-part note. It said the evidence to watch and hear, police interview from notification of Brendan's death to complete end of interview. Digital timeline from Cornerstone that we heard this morning, but centered around 8:50 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And I take that to mean that's the period of time you wish to hear. And finally, Detective Rhodes' testimony about when picture of Bird Cooper River was taken on defendant's phone. We're going to tee these back.
The second one is the viewing only. We don't need to hear the tape recording.
All right, but the tape is the evidence, so we're going to play the tape while we do it, all right?
Okay.
As I said before, there's certain, that's like the hearing aids, listening aids. That's not the evidence. The evidence is what was said. It aids you in understanding what was said, but what was said is what the evidence is, so we'll play that for you. But we'll have that teed up, just that part, excuse me. But looking at the time of the day, obviously we can't start playing the tape, and we'd have to stop it right away. So what I'm going to do is we're going to break for lunch now. We're going to ask that you return, we'll change our schedule a little bit. Lunch and break will be from 12:15 to 1:15. 1:15, I'm going to ask everybody to report back. We'll have everything set up at 1:15, and we'll play these three items back for you. And then you can go back to your deliberations. Again, we are breaking. Remember my admonition during this or any other recess or break, you do not discuss the case with anyone, don't do any independent research. And part of the deliberative process is when all the jurors are deliberating, if you are together, don't discuss the case until you're all back together again. With that, I will see everybody. I'm going to ask you to just report outside of 1:15. Once we get everybody here, we'll bring you back in. When we have the playbacks, I'll ask the alternates to take your seats again so you can see what's being shown. And I'll see everybody at 1:15.
Please rise.
Everybody be seated. Thank you, counsel. And as everybody be back here, maybe 1:10, so we can make sure we got everything set up. The shop, if you can check, I'll check my notes, because we have to identify specifically on the tape where.
I found the spot, Judge. It's right after he talks about, right after Detective Rhodes testified about interviewing Julie Stensky.
It was the first day of testimony.
It was
day of testimony. It was day of testimony. It was day of testimony. That would probably identify. It was marked into evidence, wasn't it?
It was, Judge, but not at the time of testimony. That's what I did on redirect. At least that's my recollection of it.
Well, I'm going to ask counsel if you could check your notes, and you have the disc. 1:10, we get back. We don't haven't identified it specifically. We'll find it. The other two items are fairly simple. But Mr. Moran, if you could tell my clerk when that questioning starts, so we'll be able to have that teed up.
Sure, once we break on lunch.
Then with that, we're going to break for a lunch and recess. As I said, I've asked the council to be back here at 1:10 so we can make sure this is done, and I'll see everybody else at 1:15.
At some point later on after that.
Third question, we have timing for that. And Mr. Fichin, as I understand, there's no issue with any cross-examination. You would want break the jury on any of these issues at this point, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's bring the jury around.
Which one are we going to do?
We're going to do the tape.
And judges, I want to remind you first, because Mr. Moran passed out the listening aid, it starts on page 21.
Thank you.
Did you? It's done your work.
What's the mark?
S2.
S2, okay.
Listening aid is S3.
Please be seated. Members of the jury, right before lunch, as you know, we broke so we could set up the playbacks you requested. We're ready to proceed with those. The first we will play back will be the statement given by Mr. Creato. We wanted it played from the notification of his death. That appears on page 21 of listening aids, which we will provide to you. With that, Mr. Randall.
I think this must be somebody's case file.
All right,
I'm
just
just gonna,
put on the floor.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's my fault. Yes, there's anything. Anytime, yeah. Yeah, we found your son. He's deceased. Oh God, no! He was found on the shore. No! I'm sorry, sir. They're my friend. I love them so much. Well, look what happened. Well, that's what we're trying to find out right now, okay? Where was he? He was found along the shoreline. Was the shoreline of what? River? Oh, God. Was he drown? What's that? Did he drown? Well, we don't know that. That's what we're trying to find out. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. What did I do? What did I do? Where's my bike? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No! I know this is... I was just out there. We don't know that. There are a lot of questions that we need answers to. And we need your help to find out. Yes, sir. Okay? I know this is very difficult for you right now. All right? Well, we need to find out what happened last night as far as, how the night progressed, okay? Okay. All right? You need a moment. I'm about to have things I need to okay? You need some water or anything? Water, yeah. Okay. Keep questioning. Take a minute. Try to breathe. I know this is hard. This is hard to take. It's very hard. Last night, my sister texted me asking me if she can give him a bath. They just got their tub recently refinished. My sister was getting it herself. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I brought him over there. They gave him a bath. And then they brought him back to my house. I said to him, what time do you bring him back? They said 8:30. Okay. I said, okay, around 8:30, I want to go to their house. My parents said, my dad was there, and he said, no, they left. So I called my mom, she said she was at my house. I was like, okay. I went back to my house, they left the Tolson, she went upstairs, and my mom and my sister stayed with me for 20 minutes, until about 8:50. Okay. And we were just sitting there talking, and then they left. I read him his bedtime stories. I was reading 3 books before I let him go down to bed. Okay. I read him, the first one was Turtle the Turtle, and then Go to the Places You'll Go, and then it was the Lorax. Okay. And then I said, no, it's time to go to bed. And he put it in his bedroom, and I didn't know, I gave him a pillow, he said, no, I don't want it. And I took his pillow, and I put it on the side. So I gave him his blanket, laid it down, and I heard him battling in the other room like he normally does before he goes to bed. In the morning, I go to my room, I'm trying to talk to my girlfriend, she goes to bed, and I'm still trying to communicate with her, trying to call her and all this, and I didn't get a hold of her anymore. She went to bed, she was in New York, she goes to university there, so I went to bed. I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, I just go to check on him, he's not there, and I start freaking out, looking around for him, and I call the cops. Okay. That's all the information I have right now. I want to back up real quick. Yes, okay. You said your son went to your sister's house. Where did she live? On Virginia Avenue, right down the street from there. What's the address? 22 Virginia Avenue. What's her name? Sarah Creato. Sarah Creato? Yes, she is like a mother to him almost. He's with her a lot. She's like my main babysitter, and she's... Okay. Now, who stays at Sarah's house? My parents. Your parents? What's their names? Lisa and David. Okay. Now, how often does your son go to your sister's house? He goes there pretty regularly. Like, not regularly. I have him Monday through Wednesday and every other weekend. And I always bring him by to visit. So my mom watches him for me a lot when I'm going out with my friends. Okay. Or that kind of stuff. He's over there pretty often.
Okay. Now, who do you live with besides you and your son? Is anyone else?
No, it's just me and him. Okay. My girlfriend comes and stays with me a few days on the weekends.
Okay. What about her newsletter? What's her name?
Samantha.
Where does she stay?
She stays with her parents on Merrick Avenue.
On Merrick Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. What is that? How close is that in relation to your house?
It's a couple. That's maybe a mile.
Maybe a mile? It's in Haddon Township?
Yes.
And how long have you been living at your apartment that you stay at? Right?
45 months. I've lived there since April 1st.
Okay. Where'd you live previously?
In Brookline.
In Brookline? Okay. What's your custody arrangement with you?
We don't do anything with the court. We're doing everything just we're getting along with us. And I would get him. So I would pick him up from school on Monday.
Okay.
I would have him all day Monday. I would take him to school. Well, I would pick him up around 5 o'clock when I got done work on Monday. I would have him all night. I'll take him to school in the morning, go to work, pick him up from daycare again Tuesday. He goes all day Tuesday. Then I drop him off again Wednesday, and then Sam will pick him up Wednesday, and she has him throughout the weekend. Or if it's my weekend, I will have him throughout the weekend.
Okay. So you guys alternate?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see her? Are you guys married still?
No. We were just dating, and
just dating.
We were together for 7 years.
Okay.
The relationship didn't work out. We got broken up over a year ago, but we get along now. We have no problems with each other. We communicate. We just try to take the best out of the situation.
Okay. Did you see her yesterday?
No.
Samantha at all? Did you see her?
Yes, I did see her yesterday.
What time?
Yesterday I went to pick him up from her house.
How old is her? I know this is difficult for you, but I want to get your timeline yesterday so we can figure this out. Okay, so yesterday, do you work right now?
Yes, I work with my dad.
Okay.
I went to work with my dad.
What time did you leave for work?
I left at about, I want to say 7:30 in the morning. I went to his house.
Okay.
We went to 3 different customers' houses. Yeah. We went to 3 different customers' houses, like 2 in Pennsylvania and 1 in North Jersey.
What do you guys do?
We're window roofing and siding.
Okay.
And it's my dad's company. He owns it, and I have a problem right now. And I was helping him. We were fixing some services from some previous customers. Yeah. So I said, my dad, on the way home, let's go pick up. I wanted to pick him up because Sam had him yesterday because it was Wednesday. They didn't have school yesterday. School was off.
So she was off. I'm sorry. Sister was watching.
No. Sam was watching.
Sam was watching while you were at work.
And
what time? How did she? Did she pick him up before?
She already had him. She picked him up yesterday Sunday around 1 o'clock.
So she picked him up Sunday, and then she had him into Monday.
Yes.
Okay. Who had your son yesterday besides your Samantha?
So Sam had him. My mom and my sister had him for a little bit, and then I had him.
Okay. So Sam had your son over the weekend. Okay, and then she drops him off to your parents' house?
Let's drop him off to me. At 5:45 yesterday, I went to her house with my dad to pick him up. They wanted their basement redone. Sam thinking about moving down there, and to her parents' basement. They wanted to be finished. So my dad went there to measure some things in her basement. I went out to the car with Brendan. We went home. I spent some time with him, and then brought him over because my sister said she wanted to take a bath with him, or take him on a bath in the new club or whatever. So I brought him over there, and then he came back to my house, and
that's when you had him in his. Give me. I haven't been in your apartment. What's the layout of your apartment?
You walk in. There's the living room. There's a door right there, and there's the bedroom, and the bathroom's right there.
Okay. Is it 1 or 2 bedrooms?
It's 1 bedroom.
So where's your son stay?
The living room is his bedroom.
Okay. Is it like a couch? Or is it a pull-out couch? What do you have?
It's a couch. She used to have a pull-out couch, but it broke, and I couldn't afford it, so I just have this like couch for him there, and he's sleeping on the couch.
Okay. All right. So you picked your son up from your sister's house. At what time again?
I went there to my parents' house at 8:30. Okay. I took my sister to bring him by around 8:30. I decided to go there and get him before they brought him over. But then said they came over while I was at their house. My dad said, oh, they left. So I called my mom, and she was already at my house. They let themselves in. Okay. They went up to my apartment and were waiting for me. I went back, and they were up there.
Okay. So so your mom's there with your son. Okay. What time do you put your son to bed?
9:30. 9:30. The stories are up like 8:50, almost 9 o'clock, I would say. I read his 3 stories.
Okay.
And then I put him to bed.
Okay. After you put him to bed, what do you do next?
I went into my bedroom. I had the laptop open because there was some TV, but I decided not to watch it. I just closed it, put it there. I was like, just trying to talk to my girlfriend, and then I decided to go to bed.
What time you talk to your girlfriend?
I'm trying to remember that exactly. My girlfriend, I was talking to her probably around 8:30. We were just like texting, saying good night and stuff. She said she was going to bed early. She had a math test in the morning. I thought it was where she was going to bed at like 8:30 though.
Okay.
And then I kept trying to get a hold of her later that night because I just talked to her because I was just getting nervous that she was like talking to this other guy down at school. So I just kept trying to call her over and over again just to get a hold of her. Okay. And then I went to bed.
How long have you been dating her?
Like 4 to 5 months.
5 months?
Yeah.
How's your relationship?
It's a good relationship. She doesn't really like the fact that I had a kid at all. She had a huge problem with the fact that I had a kid with another person. Okay. And she's always fighting with me, and she's always like, why don't you just take child support and not have to in your life? I'm like, I would never do that. He's my son. I love him. He's always going to be in my life. You guys go through my friend, you'll see all these messages where she's like, well, shoot, I'm like, I would never do that. And that's one thing that's what's breaking us up is she doesn't want to, she doesn't want anything to do with him or ever be around him. Like, she won't hang out with me if I have him.
Who's your girlfriend?
Joy Spensky. But she's in New York. She has no kid down here. She would never do anything.
Space or less?
SPENSKY.
ENSKY. What's your phone number?
My phone's up there.
Okay. Oh, we'll get it. And you said you've been with her for 4 months?
Yeah.
Okay. She lives in New York?
Yeah. Authentication University in Dover.
How old are you, sir?
I'm 22.
It's David, correct?
Yes.
Your last name?
Creato.
Okay, date of birth?
6/29/93.
She was 22, and your girlfriend how old?
17.
17? Okay. And how about Samantha? What's your full name?
Samantha Ashley Donato.
What's her date of birth? Yeah.
September 24th, 93.
Okay, so that means the same age, 22?
Yeah.
How did you meet Julie?
Tinder, an online dating app.
Okay.
She lived in Easterville, Pennsylvania with her parents. We were talking over the summer. Then she went to her dorm room, went to live in New York for her first semester there, and still been talking, and we've been going up and down with our relationship. It was going to work out because